Hey everybody. This video is on the technology resources that we're going to use for this course. And again, we're not using TurnItIn because I have had some bad experience with it and I don't want it to go down when we need it this semester. So we're using a Google Drive. If Google goes down, we're all in trouble. So hopefully that'll be stable. And we're using TurnItIn.com's website, which is proven to be a lot more stable than TurnItIn. Okay. Hopefully by now you have all logged into and created accounts for TurnItIn, and I sent you an email inviting you to our class Google Drive. Obviously, if you didn't receive that, send me an email, let me know. I want to stress one more time that you have to be logged in on your web browser to your UWG email in order to access the Google Drive. So if you have a Gmail account, a personal Gmail account, and you are logged into it on your web browser, you're maybe checking your email there, and you go to access our class Google Drive, it's not going to let you in. You have to be logged in on your browser to your UWG email, okay? Some of you are going to try to do that, and the system is going to send me a request to add your personal email, and I'm going to say no. And it's not because I'm being a jerk, it's because it's illegal, okay? Federal guidelines, we have to keep our data secure by keeping it all within the UWG network, so to speak, okay? So if you run into trouble accessing Google Drive, make sure that you are logged in on your browser to your UWG email and you should have no trouble, okay? So I just want to walk through the Google Drive quickly and then go over to TurnItIn and poke around there and just sort of, if we were in class together, I'd bring this up on the screen, but we'll just sort of talk through it together. So if you can go into the Google Drive, if you're logged in, you're going to see a series of folders. There's a welcome folder. In that welcome folder is a document with a link to this video, the welcome video, and a video about the syllabus, okay? There's the rubric document, which I went over a little bit in the welcome video, and there's a copy of the syllabus. So weeks 1 through 4 are the weeks that we're actually going to be working in this class. So let's look at those. Those are kind of, the most important things in here. So let's look at week 1 for an example. These are just basically a Google document, okay? And it's going to tell you what you need to do that week. The beginning is what you need to read. And again, a couple of things I'd like to call attention to here. If you notice, I want you to, at the beginning of each one of these weeks, first go read the writing prompt for the major essay that is going to be due at the end of that week. The reason for that is it's good to know where you are going and what you are doing all this homework and pre-writing in service of as you're doing it. So you read the writing prompt, what I'm going to ask you to do for that major assignment. And then as you're working through this homework, you keep that in the back of your mind. You're doing all of this to build towards that work, okay? So always read that first. That's a good strategy and a habit to get into. Again, in the textbook, I did a lot of work to make sure that I'm just assigning the specific things that you absolutely need to complete this very abbreviated, shortened class. It would have been a lot easier for me to just say, read chapter 1, read chapter 2, read chapter 4. But I didn't. I selected specific page ranges to help you. It's because I don't want to waste your time, okay? But the deal I'd like to strike with you is because I did that to help you, you need to help yourselves and actually read this stuff, okay? If we meet each other in the middle, I think we'll be in a good place, all right? So there's the reading section, there's the assignment section, which tells you what you're going to need to do that week and when it's due, and then there's videos. This being an online class, I can't talk to you, so I've made a lot of videos that are mini lectures on the reading to underscore important parts and to maybe explain parts that might be a little bit confusing. The benefit of having the videos is you can watch them more than once. So you can brush up on things, or if something's a little confusing, you can watch it again and again. If you have any questions about something, send me an email and I'll try to explain it for you, okay? All of the weeks of our class are just gonna have the similar document in it, what you gotta read, what you gotta do. Here's some videos to support you. If you look at the essay writing prompts folder, those are the 3 major essays. Those are the writing prompts that I want you to read at the beginning of each of those weeks, okay? In those folders, there are also a sample essay. From previous classes, the students' names are removed, but they give you, these essays aren't perfect, but they're solid, and they give you an idea sort of what these papers need to roughly look like. Sometimes that's helpful just to see a model, okay? So there's one for every essay. There's also, to help you, an MLA template. This is just a blank template. If you start all of your papers by opening this document and then saving it, save as, whatever you're going to call your paper, and then use that, it's already set up to help you put everything where it needs to be for MLA. So that's kind of helpful. Put that in there to help you. In the research resources, for essays 2 and 3, there's going to be some external research required, okay? The research guide explains the kinds of research that you're going to need to do for essays 2 and 3. There are some specific differences for those 2 essays, and those are clearly articulated in that document. I'm asking you to read that carefully. Make sure you're doing what you need to do. The second document in there is, and there's another video on this, but it's called a rhetorical précis, which is kind of a pretentious, stupid word, but that's what it's called. That is the document, the sort of assignment that you're going to produce that synthesizes the research that you found when you're researching for essays 2 and 3. And you read through that document. The rhetorical précis is kind of a magical thing. It's a 4-sentence thing that you write, that each sentence does a specific thing. And it's a really great tool when you go through research. You read something, and then you think about what you read. And when you write a rhetorical précis, it helps you to distill, synthesize, and figure out how you might use that research. They're really cool. They're effective. You'll get a little practice doing them this semester, but it's one of those things, if you ever remember, I mean, sometimes in classes in college, we take a class and then we forget everything in it. Ideally, you're supposed to sort of build on every class and remember, hey, that writing class I took over the summer, there was this thing in there, rhetorical précis. If you use that every time you research in all of your college classes, I promise you, it will help you become a better researcher and a better writer and a better critical thinker, which is actually what you're paying money to become. So be mindful of that, okay? It's a cool thing. Stupid name, cool thing. And then at the bottom, writing resources. This is an extraordinarily important folder. Okay, I put a lot of work into this folder to support you folks in an online environment. So if you look in here, you see the body paragraphs folder. Body paragraphs are the most important part of an essay. They are where your work is actually done. Okay, 90% of the comments I give you and the ways that you can improve your writing in college are going to be through better body paragraphs. That's just the way it is. So in here, you've got 3 documents. Quotation sandwich is a strategy for incorporating information from another source into your own writing. Okay, sort of a technique for how to do that. Very simple, very direct, very effective. There's a sample body paragraph in here that I created, and it highlights the different parts of a body paragraph in different colors. And visually, sometimes it's helpful just to see what something is supposed to look like. And then you can look back at your own and say, does mine look anything like that? And if the answer is no, you go back to you get back at it and keep working and try to make it look more like that. As I evaluate your papers, I may say, hey, look, this body paragraph is pretty thin, pretty weak, pretty underdeveloped. Go look at the sample body paragraph in the body paragraphs folder and figure out what your body paragraph is missing that body paragraph has, right? Writing is sort of like emulating what other writing looks like. Writing songs, so many songs are written with the same 3 or 4 chords. They're just done different ways, but there's a certain kind of general way a pop song goes. It's just the way it is. So it's a similar strategy with writing. And then there's 3 ways to engage. This is all explained in more detail in later videos, but particularly in essays 2 and 3, when you're responding to the words of other people whose research you found. We don't just stick their words in our paper and then leave them there. We need to engage with them. all writing, especially academic writing, is a conversation. So in a paper where you are quoting from somebody else, you are literally having a written conversation with that person. So if you say what they say and then you don't say anything, that's not a conversation. So you bring in their words with the quotation sandwich technique, and you bring in what they say. And then usually you either agree with them, but with a difference. You add something to the conversation, because if you just say, I agree with what she said, well, there's no reason to read you. I might as well just read her, right? You disagree, but you say why. You don't just say, and she's wrong. Well, why? Why do you think she's wrong? That's an important part. And the third way is the most interesting, the most complex, the most sophisticated, which is, you honor the nuance of their argument. You say, well, she's right up until this point, but at this moment I diverge from her. That's the most sophisticated way to respond. And I challenge you to try to read deeply enough into people's arguments to find that. You're also finding a bit of common ground there, which is good. Conclusions are, usually in academic writing, conclusions are a bit of an afterthought. We just summarize what we said. Pretty dull. There are better ways to do conclusions. You challenge your reader. You leave them with a question. You connect it to something personal in your life. You connect it to something going on in the world right now. You want to leave your reader with something that makes them think about your writing after you're done. Good conclusions can really take your paper from good to great. So that's a challenge there that we all need to work on, better conclusions. In introductions, not quite as important as body paragraphs, but pretty darn important. They carry your thesis statement, which is your argument for your paper. And they also, in the very beginning, they hook the reader. They draw the reader in. They are your first impression, right? You don't go to a job interview in a bathing suit, I guess, unless maybe you're interviewing for a job as a lifeguard or something like that. But you dress to fit the occasion. An introduction is where your reader comes to you, and after they read your introduction, they should know this person's serious, they got their stuff together, and I am going to take them seriously as I read the rest of this paper. All right? So this Google Drive is, there's a lot of information in here, and I really strongly encourage you, sorry, my dog is scratching again, to read all of this material. And let it help you. It's designed to help you, so please use it. All right. So let's switch over to TurnItIn. And again, there's information for accessing this in. I sent you an email about it, and it's also in the syllabus. So you add yourself to this course. You see all the assignments that are listed. All right. Just to make a connection between this and the syllabus briefly. If you look at the numbers in the syllabus, the 3 major essays you write they account for 80% of your grade. So it's the major part of your class, all right? But that leaves 20% for the homework. 20% is not insignificant. When I grade all your homework assignments, you're going to get 1 of 4 grades. If you give it a good faith effort, which is all I'm asking for, meaning that I can see that you didn't try to respond to the homework in 35 seconds while you were listening to a podcast and talking to somebody and playing video games, all right? I can tell when you're trying. If you're trying and actively giving me a good faith effort, you'll get 100. If you do it, but it's kind of half-assed, I can tell you're just like, they kind of did it, whatever. You'll get a 75. If you turn something in, but it's 2 sentences, you will get a 50, which is an F. And if you don't turn anything in, you will get a 0, all right? If you listen to what I just said, if you give me a good faith effort on all of the homework assignments, you will get 20% of this class. It's free money, all right? I think you'd be a fool not to do that. And the flip side of that is, I'm not just giving you this homework for busy work. This homework that I've assigned is designed to engage you to practice in certain aspects of a writing skill or a thinking skill or a researching skill that will then help you in the major paper that you're writing. So not only do you get the 100 points for doing it well, but by doing it well, you have made it more likely that you will do the paper well, which will help that grade. See, good builds good, bad builds bad. If you don't do any of the homework, Well, then you didn't practice any of the things, and guess what's going to happen with your major paper? It's probably not going to be too hot. So, I mean, classic teacher stuff. Do your stuff. It will help you. The calendar, there's a couple ways to view it, as a list or as the month. And that's just a visual way to see what's due and when. All right. If you look over on I've created a little discussion board, and in past semesters, people have used this informal. If you guys have any questions you want to talk about amongst yourselves, sometimes that's made the class feel a little bit more connected. So I'm not going to moderate that. I mean, I might check in on it a little bit, but there's no grade there. That's just for y'all to talk if you like. Trying to think if there's anything left to say about TurnItIn, and I don't think that there is. Again, I guess one thing I'll explain is the only technological trick to this class is, remember I said in the welcome video, when we turn in our first drafts, they're due at 11:59 p.m. At 12 a.m., the computer will send a copy of your first draft randomly to another student in the class. And then you will do the peer mark exercise, which is really peer revision. You'll get a copy of your peer's paper. There'll be a series of questions for you to explore as you read their paper. And your feedback will then be visible for the person whose paper you receive. Okay? You can see what the problem here is. If people don't turn in their papers on time, there's no paper for the computer to send around, and it screws everything up. So I'm underscoring again, the most important thing for this class is to get your first draft in on time. And again, I will say, just turn everything in on time, and there's going to be no problems. Everything will work great. Okay? It's a 4-week class. In a full semester class, I personally am a bit more laid back about when things get turned in. In a 4-week online class, I am not laid back about when things get turned in because I can't be. All right? So this is me being tough and stern. Make sure you get that first draft in on time. Okay? Because the peer revision and the revision of your, the peer review and the revision of your writing is the most important thing you're going to do in this class. So I think that's it. Again, email me, please, if you have any questions. Thank you.